Let's let's meditate. Let's pray. It is yours truly, you do tank Lipp. Okay, just for a moment. So things are obviously already working great for me here. Phone's falling. Let's take a nice breath in and out. Try to get grounded and centered for a minute before we get into the speech. It's early. It's always early. Or is it always late? We shall see. It's 5:48 a.m. on September 4th, 2022. Or what time and what year is it really? And what really is a clock to the point of when the clock is set? So who knows what fucking date it really is. But I guess that's what BC and AC and AD and all that stuff is. They're always resetting the clock. Savings time, all this. But that's not really what we're trying to get on today. Although, ironically, it may be profound that that's exactly maybe what we're talking about in a realm or sense. A lot, basically everything does have to do with time and some type of clock. The beginnings of things, the expirations of things. I wanted to talk about suffering today, but there's a clock with suffering. The question is how often, for me, and probably for a lot of y'all, is how long does the suffering have to go on? So that's a clock. So actually, it is very relative to make those statements about a clock. So I want to try to keep this somewhat congruent because I'm sort of going back and forth and getting nowhere at the same time. Here we are on the clock again. It's at the same time, getting nowhere. Another clock. I don't want to be doing this too much cerebral, subliminal nonsense talk. It's not nonsense, but I want to kind of have a point and a kind of more of a line to my meditation and speech today instead of doing counter talk to every statement and analyzing literally every statement I say. We won't get too far, would we? But that's just kind of my personality. I do that. So forgive this first couple 3 minutes here and this kind of form of speech. Suppose I may be gathering myself, and I realize where I want to gather myself to really start the story off is, again, it's early. Like I said, 5:48. I woke up around 3 a.m., which is unfortunately rather normal kind of a wake up time. Sometimes it's even worse, but I shut down my days early. I go to bed early on purpose for a reason. And by the nature of how much I'm able to sleep and all my sleep problems and my sleep disorder and my sleep paralysis and all this other stuff, I'm only able to lay in that bed only so long with the tossing and the turning and the restlessness and the torture of how my sleep is. I mean, I have my limits, you know? So if I shut down at 6 p.m., by 3 a.m., I mean, that's 9 hours of being in the bed. Hopefully I slept most of it. Sometimes I don't, but I get up. And of course, my exhausting, torturous routines of every day popping pills and medicine, not because I'm a druggie or because I like to do drugs, because I have a mental illness and I have to keep my stability. And I've learned the hard way that I have to take medicine to stay stable, or I end up in the hospital in the psych ward. So it's a catch-22 because I could free myself of the torturous, monotonous, repetitious routine of every day having to make sure I take my meds, but that would actually not free me. It'd probably put me right in a prison or jail in the form of a hospital. Don't want to go there, so it's the lesser of two evils. I take my meds rigidly, never miss a dose. So those kinds of drugs. So, and I had to do that upon waking with a form of paralysis, which I call sleep paralysis, which I believe you could probably Wikipedia or Google. It's probably, I don't know if I've done that myself, but I call it sleep paralysis because something happens to me, like a part of me dies every time I go to sleep, and I actually physically feel the death. When I wake up, I'm numb. There's like a paralysis in my body from the sleep. Part of me goes, literally physically goes to sleep, not to mention my mind and my brain. I think I have the beginnings of dementia, although, as you see, I have the coffee, which I rigidly drink all day long. I overdose myself with coffee to fight these phenomena. So I am still fairly sharp, although not as sharp as I was when I was younger, but then also sharper because I've become wiser. So it may be hard to notice that it's dementia. I personally know that I think I have a level of dementedness or dementia. Just not, I'm a grounded demented right now, a grounded dementia. So, you know, I had to take these medicines upon walking into my day with this sleep paralysis, and it's very hard to take my medicine. It's even more the repetitious medicine routine is obviously repetitious because I have to repeat it every day, but it's torturous for me because one of my ailments of mental illness is I have OCD. I believe my OCD evolved from my paranoia. I'm paranoid that people do things to hurt me. That's part of my mental illness, but it carries over even with medicine. I am actually paranoid that people do things to my medicine pills so that I can't get better. Like the king, the old stories of the king, they figured, well, how can we get the king? How can we kill the king? What does he do every day that he would be predictable and we could get him? Well, they knew he ate chocolate every day, so they poisoned his chocolate. They knew if he eats chocolate every day and they want to kill him, just poison his chocolate. He's going to eat the chocolate. He's going to eat the poison. And they killed the king by poisoning his chocolate. Not that I'm trying to be narcissistic or have like this God or king complex, but I've always thought of that in the sensor realm of it seems like someone's out to get me or make me a guinea pig and hurt me and torture me in some way. Don't want to be too predictable, but I'm forced into these predictable things because I take medicine every day. If they are not satisfied with the mental illness or conditions they gave me already and they want me dead or prolong the torture till I eventually die, so I never enjoy life, how can they still get me even after they've already got me? So one theory I had, which has turned into part of my ongoing illness, is even as I take my medicines, which are supposed to make me feel better, keep me stable, I have to constantly, in the back of my mind, if not completely always in the forefront, worried that even as I take the pills, which are supposed to help, I'm afraid that the pills have been actually literally poisoned. Now, obviously, pills have side effects, and you could think of medicine as like a poison naturally with its side effects. I'm actually worried someone's putting like arsenic or some other type of chemical on the pills that I have to take for my diabetes pills, my psych pills, for my mental illness, for my manic depression, bipolar, etc. So I am paranoid about that, so I stare at the pills and examine them as if like some chemicals and substances are not colorless and odorless. Like you don't, it's a pointless routine because there's no 100% proof of these protocols that I do. Okay, someone could still be poisoning it, and I'm taking poisoned pills every day, even as I inspect the shit out of the pills before taking them. They can still have some colorless, odorless thing, and I don't even see the poison on there. You know, who knows? Sometimes pills are the same pills are shiny one day, shiny not the next day. I sometimes wonder, did somebody spray my pill with pesticide, like for cockroaches? If you ever look at the spray, it's like kind of shiny looking. If you just spray it on something, sometimes my pills look like that, and I feel like I'm eating rat poison as I take my meds, or cockroach poisoning. But nonetheless, I can't seem to break from the torturous OCD protocol of checking the pills and examining and staring at the pills because of the paranoia I have that someone's trying to get my pills. As if it's not enough just having paranoia to begin with. You take medicine for your paranoia and you're worried you're paranoid someone's getting your paranoia medicine. It's fucked up. It's a deep rabbit hole I'm in, but whatever. And this is, by the way, not even the point of the story. I'm just giving you a segue into my day. So just going to sleep and waking up and having to do the first thing to reach my baseline, my meds, taking my meds to get my head right to reach that baseline of like being on par with yourself. Like people wake up after 9 hours of sleep, they're groggy for the first couple minutes, but then they're like, wow, I feel great. Got up on the right side of the bed. It's gonna be a wonderful day. Everything. Like I never wake up that way. First of all, I'm on withdrawal from the last time I took the meds the day before. I've got sleep issues, and then so even at sleep, I wasn't at rest last night. I had the most torturous dream, like so lucid, so much detail, and it was not a good dream. It wasn't like detail of me having sex with a hot chick, and like all those details, and then you wake up and you want to jerk off because you remember so much hot shit from the dream. No, nothing great like that. Like it was like the beginning of times and the end of times all at once. It was like the beginning of like creation, but it was like also the last days of that time period. Like we're in 2022 and people are calling it the last days, but we know it's not the beginning of times. We know about there's AC, AD, we are on the clock again. Christ, like we think of that as the beginning of times. We know that was thousands of years ago, millions of years ago. So if we're calling this the last days, we still know for sure this is not the beginning of times. I had a dream where it was like the last days, but not 2022 last days, the last days of literally like the beginning of creation. And it was like a version of like Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead, whatever, where, like zombies are coming out of the ground. They've been buried alive, but under the ground, and they're coming out. They don't even have normal skin color. They're like green and their natural surface it looks like someone bit their cheek off, but they're still walking around and like everything's fine when everything's not fine. It was like some weird shit like that, but every person I encountered in the dream was like trying to kill me. But even though I was asleep in the dream, I was working like crazy, like it was a video game. But I don't know. It was like my mind was the joystick, but I was asleep. But there's a part of my mind that's always alert, even when I'm at rest. I don't even know the greatest way to articulate it. I'll try to come up with something better and hit y'all with a blog at a later time on exactly what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is it was so lucid. It's like there's a part of me that I may not always be in touch with. And as this Jason here went to sleep last night, another part of me woke up and was completely awake and lucid in the dream, almost like I was playing the video game or movie that I was in and watching, but I was also a role in the movie and video game with a mind to think on like what to do. So as these people are chasing me, what I'm remembering of the dream when I woke up, or even maybe remembering as I was going through the dream, is I was constantly making choices. Now, if you're asleep and rest, you shouldn't be making so many choices. You shouldn't even be thinking so much. But I'm constantly like, do I fly off the building with the rope? And when I hit the bottom of the building, am I going to be okay to then dodge this way and somehow even jumping down a building on a rope, a 500-foot rope, and making it to the floor, the floor of the building, and not dying at that point? They still caught up with me, and then I had to run around the side of the building, like that kind of shit. They were constantly chasing me, and I was literally throughout the whole lucid dream trying to make choices of which way do I go to like dodge the enemy, which is profound because I guess in my actual awake life here, like stuff like this, I'm constantly worried about what choices to make to dodge some enemy because of my paranoia. So maybe it was just my subconscious working. Maybe that's how you explain it. It was so lucid. It was like I was watching a movie, but also the joystick playing it and making the moves. And it was like a movie and a video game. It was very weird. And I don't play video games, but it still had a flair of that kind of thing. Maybe someone that makes video games has figured out a technology of how to take over someone's brain and like play their game like their brain like a video game. So before I even woke up, I was already working, if you could get the drift of what I'm saying there. And then to get even more grounded after waking up from that horrible shit, and it was torture, my dream. I would call it a dream, I'd call it a nightmare when people are chasing you like that. So, not even really an enjoyable sleep, even though I did, at least I know if I was dreaming or having a nightmare, I was actually asleep. Great, I got my sleep at the cost of having a nightmare. Wonderful. Then I wake up with a sleep paralysis after having had the nightmare, and then I have to go through the torture of taking my meds. So it's like just sleeping and waking up, even though I've done literally nothing with myself, can't say I went out anywhere and had some fun or did anything productive, has already been exhausting work. I'm ready to go back to bed, kind of thing. Ran out of cigarettes, which I usually make sure to not do, so that at least when I go through these torturous routines in the morning, I have my cigarettes to get me through the routine. Well, I've been kind of wanting to quit the cigarettes, so I've been sometimes not buying them just so I have to smoke less. But the way it panned out, I ran out of cigarettes through like my medicine routine. I got through most of the routine and then I was out. I'm like, I still, I gotta just go out and get the cigarettes, even though I'm not really dressed and ready for the day or to be out and see people, even at the gas station store. I'm like, I gotta just go. So, where sometimes I don't necessarily leave the house till 8 a.m., 9 a.m. for the first time of the day. Today I'm leaving the house at like 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m. So that's bad enough after having had a nightmare and go through my medicine routine, which is torturous again. Like under those conditions, I had to go leave the house even earlier, and I'm not completely awake. I'm still not even awake. I mean, you see, I'm still drinking my coffee. Pull up at the gas station, and you know what? I'm going to continue this in 3 minutes after a cigarette because I don't want to interrupt this part of the story. Now, this is where the story starts when I get back from my cigarette. Where I begin at that point in 3 minutes from now, when I get back from my cigarette, this is really the point of the story and why I say, let's pray. Just stay calm, marinate for a minute on anything else I've said. And the story really starts in 3 minutes. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back, yo. Might have to heat the coffee up, though. I do. I do. I guess we're getting married. All right. Me and the coffee are getting married, or me and someone's getting married, because I said I do. Do you take this lawfully wedded coffee as yours to sip it? I do. Will you take another sip? I do think I do, Will. Anyway, y'all, let's get back to this. It's not really a funny topic, but I mean, I suppose as if I haven't had enough wake up calls in my life or my death, whatever realm I'm going through. I guess that clock never stops. There's never too many wake up calls, right? And I'm still suffering, so if the point is to not suffer and enjoy your fucking life or your death while you can before it's too late or before it gets worse, which it often does and usually will, because I guess you die in a death too. If there's a life inside and in between the death, you die in your death too, the inception of deaths, which I guess you could relay to the different chambers of death that I think Wu-Tang's talking about. Apparently there's 36 deaths, because of 36 chambers of death. 36 different deaths. Someone knows that science, but we'll leave that for another blog. Guess there's never too many wake-up calls. So I pull up to the gas station. And mind you, like I told you, it's early. I haven't even, it's still at this point, woken up. So imagine I'm fresh out of a nightmare in my sleep, into my meds, run out of cigarettes. It's only an hour that I'm up. And it takes a lot more than an hour to wake up from the shit I had been through in that nightmare. So I'm basically half asleep, you could say. Some percentage of sleep as I'm driving the car and pulling up to the gas station. And as I pull into the spot, even asleep, I try to stay focused and alert and be street smart to my surroundings. So I catch it right away. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Now, I got nothing against homeless people, okay? My heart breaks, my soul aches for their suffering. I feel their pain because I'm not homeless and I feel my own pain and suffering. And I can imagine it's worse for them. They're dealing with whatever got them to that point that they're homeless, and then they also have to deal with the suffering that accompanies and comes along with being homeless. And my area's got a lot of this, a lot of homeless people. Whatever, my heart goes out to them. I don't get angry, really, for the most part, at them unless they're constantly begging for money. I have no problem giving people money. When they start begging for it and don't let you make the choice, that gets on my nerves, whatever. This blog's not about that. This homeless person broke my heart. I imagine, I don't know 100% for sure because just have no way of knowing, but I imagine if they're sitting at the gas station in the wheelchair at 5 in the morning on a Sunday, they're probably homeless. But this person had no legs. So they're just like basically a torso and a face in the wheelchair. And I'm already sick in my stomach in a split second. And not because I'm angry at them or afraid to look at that painful situation. I actually stared for a moment to look and really take it in, not be afraid of what I was seeing, but to feel their pain, which I instantly felt, and then feel it some more and have some compassion for them. I don't even know if I'm articulating it right. Some people don't want to stare and look. It's rude, whatever. You make the person uncomfortable. I was in my car. The windows were foggy from the condensation. They couldn't see me. And I'm taking it in. And this is after having the end of days nightmare that I had where I jump off a building 500 feet down a rope and somehow the enemy is still caught up with me after I jumped 500-foot rope and I'm still getting chased and having to figure out where to run to. I end up at a gas station. And it's like, wow, maybe this is an omen. Maybe this is the sign of the nightmare was a sign of this day to come, or maybe this is the wake up call that I think my nightmares are so bad. This is what it looks like when you're really in a nightmare. And I couldn't help but think, wow, absolutely, most certainly, this poor person is going through a version of hell. Maybe not hell the way it's written in the books, in the fire or in the fire yet, burning eternally in flames or whatever, and the devil's right there, and you see that it's the devil causing it, but you can't stop him because you're stuck burning in the fire, whatever. Whatever that hell is written in the Bibles or the books, maybe this isn't that version, but this person's going through a realm or version of hell. In a wheelchair, no legs. Talk about trapped. And I couldn't help but think a million thoughts, and I almost don't know where to begin. Which should be the title for my video here, not Tanklet Meditation, but literally I don't know where to begin, meaning I really don't know where to begin this story. Probably a million thoughts were going through my head all at the same time, feeling nothing but I actually felt that person's pain. And sometimes people in these predicaments will blow your mind and they're smiling and seem just way happier than you are. Like, it doesn't even faze them. But this person, like, I could see the pain on their face. I could see the torture. I could see the misery. I could see and feel. Touch. I could actually touch the pain I felt that person was going through. I could touch it. Just from the look on their face. They're just like, kind of this. And then it's the torso, and they're in the wheelchair, and there's no legs. I don't even think there was any stumps to the top of the thighs or anything. I really think they were a torso and a face, definitely no legs. And another thing hits me on top of this, as if that wasn't enough. I'm feeling it from like so many angles and aspects, The person kind of looked like me, sort of. Like I wear glasses, so anytime I see a person with glasses, I identify of the similarities that me and another person are both wearing glasses. So it's kind of a same look, even if your face is completely different. This person didn't have facial hair. They had glasses, and their hat was to the back. Now, these days I wear my hat forward. It's just kind of like the older Jason Lipp wears his hat forward. But most of my life I've been wearing hats. I've always been hat to the back dude. Like growing up in New York, that was the thing, and I carried it into living in Florida, wearing the hat to the back or hat to the side. So anytime I see a person with a hat to the back, I always think either something nostalgic with New York, oh, there's that New York thing, hat to the back, or the old Jason New Yorker thing, like hats. That's the old me wearing the hat to the back. So like I just identify some type of identification. So yeah, the glasses and the hat to the back, way skinnier than me. Probably because they're not eating too much. And some types of lesions on the face. I don't know, maybe acne from being homeless. They're just not cleaning too good. Maybe they got some other disease going on that caused them to lose their legs, and they're also showing lesions on their face, which could be AIDS. I mean, people get lesions from AIDS, so it could be that. The person was very skinny, but I see the glasses and the hat, and so almost as I'm feeling their pain, I almost putting myself in their shoes and seeing myself, and I'm just wondering, is this a foreshadowing after having already had some nightmare of a hell? My nightmare you could call a version of hell. It was a very bad, torturous dream that I had. And then I roll into this only an hour later. This is how I'm starting the first hour of my day. And I'm going to hope it's a wake up call for me to realize someone else always has it worse than you. Jason, you don't have it so bad. Stop feeling better for yourself. I'm trying to think of this as like that. Like, Jay, I know you feel so sorry for yourself, your depression, and you've lost a lot, and your life has gone to shit. I'm trying to see this as a wake-up call, which is why I keep using that phrase, wake-up call. Because this can be used as a wake-up call. Like, I do have my legs, that person didn't. I maybe can feel a little less sorry for myself today, right? I mean, I could use this for that, right? But there's a part of me that couldn't do that right away. And I'm thinking, is this an omen? Like a foreshadowing of I was looking at myself? Somehow I'm time traveling and I got caught a snapshot and glimpse of what's going to happen to me on my blogs. It hasn't reached its worst. Like maybe that's me. Or maybe that's me if I don't start making better choices and quit the cigarettes. How ironic, as I'm going to buy 3 more packs of cigarettes. Like my body's not suffering enough and haven't done enough damage to myself. Maybe it's like, Jay, what choice you gonna make? In your dream, you were making choices after choice after choice, dodging the enemy. Maybe you're dodging yourself. Maybe you're your ultimate enemy. Maybe the choice right now is you're seeing this. Cigarettes can cause bad circulation, and they eventually cut off your legs because your legs get gangrene or something. Do you want to buy these 3 packs of cigarettes, or maybe just drive on back home? Which I didn't make that choice. I did buy the cigarettes. But maybe it was that. Maybe the dream happened for a reason, and I'm thrown right into a new realm where now in real time it plays out the choices I make, and I can end up as that person I saw there. That was me somehow. Maybe that was me I was seeing. I identified with it. I even had the thought, oh shit, it looks like me. Maybe that is me at some point in time if I don't make the better choice to dodge the enemy, which is me as myself, is enemy number 1. My greatest, worst enemy is myself, which I've often thought. With all the things, it's like I'm in a tug of war with myself. Not too many people in my life, and I'm still in some crazy big battle, constantly fighting myself and my own demons and my own illnesses. Fighting myself, and this is just the new chapter or realm or context of, like, now I get to look at what happens to me in the future, the snapshot of me in the future. Even though if I was in a picture with that person, what I look like right here on camera next to that person, we really technically look nothing alike. You could completely tell which one is Jason Lipp and which one is the other, even though I had glasses and I'm the hat back, and that person is the glasses and the hat back and skinny. The similarities, you could still tell 2 different people. But I'm thinking of it almost intuitively and instinctively as that's me. But is that me in the future? Is that an omen or sign that that's how I'm going to end up? Then as I'm thinking about it more and more in the morning, because I can't get out of my head, maybe it's about the choices I make. That becomes me, or maybe this is the fork in the road, and this that doesn't become me, because I saw that, because of the pain I felt from seeing that person. I make better choices so that doesn't become me. So it's not a demon I saw. Well, I never thought the person was a demon. It's they're my own demons of the things I'm wrestling with in my mind. Maybe that's an angel of some sort. Maybe somehow that person's not suffering as bad as I think they're suffering. And it's like some angel presented itself like that so that I get scared for the things I should be scared of, like smoking cigarettes that are known to kill you and give you cancer. Get your legs cut off, like that person has, so that I one day don't become that person in a wheelchair with no legs, trapped, nowhere to go, nothing to look to in life because society has thrown them out. Maybe, maybe not. That's why they lost their legs, but maybe society thrown them out. They became homeless. They got sick from being homeless and malnourished and the different diseases you get from not being clean. Then got their legs cut off. Then they really have nowhere to go because who's wheeling them around? Anywhere but being dumped off at the gas station for like every passerby to just look at that. I mean, it's almost the most pathetic version and realm of hell you could, in a sense, imagine. Because I don't think any stork is coming to lift them off the stoop of the gas station and fly them to Never Never Land, and then they're going to play with Peter Pan later in the day. No. I mean, the hospital's about a mile up the road. Maybe they're going back to the hospital. I mean, they have no, I'm assuming that person has nowhere to go. They don't even have any legs to walk. I mean, some people in wheelchairs have legs to stand up and maybe stretch and then sit back, and that person can't even do that. What do they lift themselves off the wheelchair and nudge themselves on the cement? Very sad and very painful to look at, but I faced the moment and I looked at it, and I really, as you can see, I've really taken it in, almost to the point where I'm even personalizing it and wondering if I was supposed to see that and thinking maybe definitely yes, like that could be you one day, but don't let that happen, Jason. Don't let that happen. Which is hard because that's the problem with my level of suffering. I know I suffer every day, but I can't let go and rest and have peace because I sometimes, and very much often so, basically all the time, wonder if this is just the beginning of hell for me. Just like my dream was like the beginning of the end of days, or the end of days of the beginning of times and the end of times. Like, there's a part of, very much part in my mind and brain that believes things are going to get worse for me, because as I look through the trajectory of where my life was and has gone, and all the loss and the context that the loss has been gradual but definite. There's been definite loss and it's been gradual, like a descent into hell. And I'm constantly, as an observant, astute person, wondering if that's been the pattern, then things are actually going to continue to get worse. Like, I'm constantly thinking, rather than just let go of the pain and stop feeling sorry for myself, it's hard. Because I believe, as bad as things are for me now, I very much have been concerned that this is just the beginning of worse things to come. So it's kind of also ominous that I see that person. I could try to be positive and think of it as a fork in the road, that make better choices and you won't become that person. Part of me believes very much it's a sign and omen that that's what I have to look forward to, which is certainly a lot worse than this. And this that I go through, without all the details right now in this blog, is pretty fucking bad. To constantly be losing your mind, have lost your mind, and the struggle and battle to just keep my sanity through my biggest problem, which is that I've lost my mind, like the extreme mental illness that I have. I can't imagine wanting to not kill myself if I had to deal with this level of mental illness that I battle every day, and also physical problems, which I also deal with every day, but to the extent of being in a wheelchair with no legs. I couldn't handle that. I don't think I can handle it. My blogs and meditations tell everyone all the time you can handle anything if you just take a breath. I don't know that I would want to meditate and be calm while I'm trapped in hell and everyone's going out around their business in life, stopping at the gas station, and I'm like on parade and display for my hell as everyone goes and passes me by and as they're going through their life. I kind of feel like I'm on display and everyone's passing me by in their life right now, and I'm not as trapped as that person that I saw at the gas station this morning. So right now, I want to just end the anecdote of that and say, let's just pray for this person that I saw. And let's pray for every person in the same predicament as that person, because there's a lot of people that have just what that person has. And let's pray for everyone that's suffering, that has suffered, that will suffer. And let's just really, really pray right now. Let's really pray for those in suffering and wish them some wellness. Because what I saw, I wouldn't wish on my enemies. I have a lot of anger for the suspected enemy that I imagine, but at the end of the day, I think I would probably find more validation and vindication and just knowing who those enemies were. Like, okay, it was you, great, and let it end at that. Not wish that kind of suffering I saw today, even on my enemies. Like, I would just forgive my enemies once I knew who they were. I think part of my relentless thing with the enemies is I never really know exactly who they are. I just believe strongly they're out there. Like, maybe I can let that rest once I know who they are. Not that I would actually wish them physical pain and suffering. That person's going through today that I saw, I would not wish that on my enemies. I really don't. At the end of the day, sometimes I get in some bad moments and I think I could kill someone and wish bad shit on them. But at the end of the day, I don't think I would wish that on even an enemy. That is such immense level of suffering. Let's pray. God, give them some mercy, please. Their soul, their spirit, their body, their life, their hell they're going through. Please take at least some of it away. Do something for every person in the world that's in that realm or situation. Make their load a little lighter. Please. Please, God. Please. I actually beg of you, God, please. It's hard to know such horrible things if it's the work of the devil or the work of God or bad things just happen to good people. And I say to that at a certain point, it doesn't matter if you've done bad or done good, if you're a bad person, good person. I believe every person has goodness in them. We all have the capacity to do bad, but no one deserves to suffer like that. Prolonged suffering like that. I don't even think a person should suffer for a second like that. I just don't believe in it. I see it, I believe in it in the sense that it's real, it's true. I do not like it. I do not accept that it's okay or fair. And I ask of you, God, please take that away. Take that away from life, from death, whatever this is. Please take that away. The world should be and can be better, can be, should be. Will it be? I ask with my will to ask you for you to use your will to somehow make it better. Please, let's pray for these people in suffering. lens on my phone camera, I guess. It looked blurry to me, so I was wiping it. See if I get a better picture. If for some reason the picture was that blurry the whole time, I do apologize, because this was a very meaningful blog for me. So I hope the whole thing's not blurry like I think it might have been, as I just saw the blurriness, but that would suck. But at least you could still hear what I've said. Thank you all for listening. Try to have a good day. Do some meditation. Make sure to take some time outs on that clock so you can get more time on the clock. Sometimes you just got to catch your breath. Take a breath to catch your breath, to keep going forward, keep moving through all this. Much love, God's blessings, and peace to all of y'all.